All right, welcome for those who are joining in. Let's give it a bit about 4 more minutes or maybe two to see how many more persons are going to log in, then we can proceed. Now, I must say it's going to be an interactive session, meaning that, I expect, you guys to respond, to anything that I say. If you don't understand something, it will be good if you can highlight, your misunderstanding, right?
Okay. Resistance.
By the way, when was the last time you guys had class?
Um, don't even remember.
All right. Either way, still, I think the last time I had class with you guys, I was talking about finding, the resistance in series and parallel circuits.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're a part of that WhatsApp class that we had.
No, sir.
All right, no problem. We're gonna go back over it and in greater details at this moment. So as you can see, are you seeing my screen, by the way?
Yeah.
So
Yes, sir.
So today's lesson is going to be on resistance, and here are our objectives. We want to explain the concept of resistance. We want to apply the relationship, meaning now we want to be able to can use the formula that says R is equal to V upon I, which is basically Ohm's law. So we want to basically can apply that in the real sense. In addition to that, we want to explain why is it necessary for an ammeter to have very low resistance. Right? Tell me, what do we know about resistance, by the way? What comes to mind when we're talking about resistance? In layman's term. Are we still there? Are we still there? Silence causes violence, guys. Come on, speak up. If you don't know, you just don't know, right? Monique, are you there? Monique Taylor.
I'm not making any noise because I don't know.
I'm just asking if you're there.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what resistance means?
Yup.
You said no?
All right, sir. But just wake up. So my brain not really there here.
No, you can't. You're supposed to just wake up. You should have wake up a long time ago from morning. It's cool.
Yeah,
It's a school morning, But either way, when we talk about something resisting something, it means that it basically slowing down something, right?
Slow down.
Yes. So to resist temptation is to either, stay away from it. You understand? Which would almost like you backing away. So it will be like you stopping it, per se. So whenever you hear the term say resist temptation or whatsoever it is. Hello, it's an interactive class, guys. So You have to pitch in. Your mic cannot be always muted. You have to come in now and then and say something.
So resistance are devices used to slow down current.
Well, resistors are
Resistors.
devices, right? But basically every conductors, every material that is able to transmit electricity, it's going to have resistance. You understand?
Yeah.
Not only one thing. Once it has some metal components, some conductivity properties to it, it's going to have some resistance.
All right.
Now, in physics, by definition, resistance is the opposition to the flow of electrons. So you can take note of that in your book because we're saying we're going to talk about resistance, so you can define what is resistance.
Opposition to.
I want to hear the pens marking up on the book so that's to show that. What was that, Monique?
Repeat resistance.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me start back over. The resistance in a conductor is the opposition to the flow of electrons. Full stop. Do we have that?
Yes, sir.
Now, we could also define it in the sense that it is the opposition to the flow of charge, because we know that whenever charge are the opposition to the flow of current, because we know that current is the flowing of charge, and by charge we talk about electrons, right?
Yeah.
So there are two ways we could define it. We could say the opposition to the flow of current, and we say that it's the opposition to the flow of charge or electrons. Fair enough. But now we want to explain what is happening inside of a conductor whenever we apply, for example, a potential difference to a piece of conductor. So let me bring up my next page here. Hopefully you guys can see this properly. 1 second. All right.
Sir, you can write better?
No, we're physics teachers, so we don't write good for purpose. Well, I for sure cannot write properly. All right. Now let me just try draw a new page, right, so that it looks a little bit better. So here I have a piece of metal. Now inside this metal is going to have particles, because we know that conductors, they are conductors because the particles are close by each other, right?
Yeah.
That it allows for easy transmission of current or even heat. Understand? So these are my atoms inside of the material. Now, if I apply a potential difference to this thing, let me just check something here. All right, so good. Yes. So this is my piece of wire.
Yeah.
Only the wire is a conductor. So inside of it is going to have these atoms. Now, when my current is flowing inside of my conductor here, what I expect is that this thing here is going to slow down the electrons, right? So when the electrons come inside of this now, it's going to vibrate or collide with the atoms inside of the metal. And by doing that, it now decreases the speed of the electron.
Okay.
Right? So this is how resistance occurs. Whenever you put a resistor in a circuit, right?
Yes.
Each resistor have a capacity, meaning that it has a degree to which it is able to resist the flow of electrons. So you'll find that your resistance is going to vary. So you might see a resistance of 200 ohms, right? Whereas you might see another resistor would say 100 or 1000 ohms or 1K. Now, what do we think is going to happen in our 220 ohms resistor? What is going to happen to the current?
It's gonna decrease.
You feel so it's not going to decrease?
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else want to say something? What is going to happen with our 220K resistor when it is connected in this circuit? What is going to happen to the current? I want other persons to pitch in. Monique, you can say something. Miss Cave, you can say something too. You're there. Who's that? Tyrese, iPhone, you're there. Say something, man. Christina Roach, you're there as well. Chantel Clark, you're there. So I expect you guys to say something. Right, so one person said the current is going to decrease. Fair enough. Who else can pitch in and say something?
Sir, what is that?
It's a circuit, right, with a piece of wire. But what I did was to make it a little bit bigger to see what is happening inside of the circuit. So this is my voltage source. Right. So once I connect my voltage source to the wire, current is going to flow. Now we're asking, we're talking about resistance, and we want to know whether the current is going to increase in a 220 ohms resistor, or is it going to increase? No, so I'm not getting an answer from you guys. So I'm going to jump to this thing here. Now let's look at a situation like this. Let's take, for example, the diagram that I had just now, that the voltage was 4.5 and the wire has a resistance of 500K. Good. Now let me try and adjust this to around 220. What do you see is happening to my current here?
Decrease.
So it's going up.
Yes. So one of the reasons behind this, I don't know if you're watching the thing right here. I don't know if you're watching this thing. You realize as I adjust it, the number of particles, when I adjust it upwards, the number of particles increases, right?
And
Whereas
the current
when I decrease it now, the number of particles decreases. So what that is really telling us, guys, is that when you have a low value resistor, there is more free spaces inside of the conductor, inside of the resistor, for electrons to flow or for current to flow. Hence the reason why we had our current increasing here. There is not a lot of collision taking place. Whereas now, if I should, if I should increase my resistance value to probably 1,000, I expect that my current is going to decrease, and that is as a result of more particles being inside of the conductor, causing a slowed down effect of the electrons. Are we understanding?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Get it, sir.
Good. All right. But now that we have that, let me reset this. Now, what is going to happen if I should increase my voltage? What do we expect is going to happen to the current? And I'm going to keep my resistor constant to 500. But now I want to find out what is going to happen to my current when I increase my voltage.
Gonna decrease.
Say that again?
Gonna decrease.
Going.
All right, some persons are saying decrease and increase. Now, why do you say decrease?
because directly proportional to each other. So if one increase, the other decrease.
No,
One
I want you to
decrease.
repeat that. I want you to repeat that for me.
They're directly proportional. So if one increase, the other decrease. So when one decrease, the other increase.
All right, hold on. You see, you have the concept, you understand? But the way how you kind of coined it a while ago, it's phrasing correctly. If you look at the formula says V is equal to IR, right? This is direct, so V is directly proportional to I rather. So as V increases, if it is directly proportional, it means that once V increase, I has to increase.
Yeah.
So I expect that my current is going to increase. And we're going to explain it from a resistance standpoint as well. So let me adjust it. So as I increase my voltage, I realize that my current increased. And we expected that because we're saying it is directly proportional. So current and voltage is directly proportional based on this formula. Now, what is happening really in our resistor is that our molecules remain the same, right? So because it remains the same, it means now that more flow of electrons are going to take place either way, because so some is going to slow down, right? Some of the electrons are going to slow down by colliding with these particles inside here. But if I'm increasing my voltage, I'm going to have excess electrons flowing from the battery source, which now is going to be able to can pass all of these collisions that is taking place here within the conductor. Whereas if I was supposed to decrease my voltage, right, I would expect now that I would have less electrons in the entire circuit, because remember, our battery source is what provides that charge that is used to flow the current. You understand? So if you decrease the charge or the battery source, it now means that you're going to have less electrons to play with the collision here to flow through the circuit. I hope we're understanding.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Now let me go back to this thing here. So we need to put everything here. We need to put these three components in a formula, right? And the formula was just given to you a while ago that says that V is equal to IR, right? And this equation is what we call Ohm's law. Now, Ohm's law equation is a lovely equation, meaning that it explains things really nice. So I want you to take note of this. Let me see my book here. What is in my book to write here? Regards to that. All right, let's write this for me, please. Ohm's law states that for a given conductor, so Ohm's law states that for a given conductor kept at constant temperature, comma,
Kept at what, sir?
constant temperature. Comma, the potential difference
Sir, you better dictate that right, come. I don't know what that.
You know what? All right, hush. All right, constant temperature. We said and so the last thing you have is what?
The
Potential
potential
difference.
difference.
Comma. Across the conductor is directly proportional across the conductor is directly proportional to the current flowing in the conductor. Full stop. Right, and yeah, I'll come back to right. I mean, so based on that, we can
Sir,
come up
why
with
don't you use a text box?
Say that again.
Why don't you just use a text box? You can just type the information.
Yeah, but I kind of like my graphic tablet, so that's why I kind of like want to use it. You know, I spend a couple US for my graphic tablet, even though I don't write nice.
Okay, sir.
So this is the formula. Or we could start off by saying, since we're talking about proportional or something proportional, we can say V is proportional to I. And then we'd have what we call a constant here, which would be resistance, right? So you can write this first, and then now we can write this one second. So this one is first, and this one comes second. So V is proportional to I. And when we talk about directly proportional, we said that as one increase, the other one increase with the same increment. So if my voltage increased by 20, it means that my current must increase by a factor of 20. Because that's what directly proportional is. And what is key to this thing though, or for Ohm's law to take place, is that it must be at constant temperature. Why it must be at constant temperature? Because by increasing temperature, it now can cause vibration within inside of the structure of the metal, and that can throw off, you know, the rate at which electrons are flowing. Because the more vibration we have, it's now like limiting the flow of charge. Good. So that is key. Constant temperature. So our units for resistance, by the way, is ohms, and we know that, right? Are we aware of that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let me see the hands, not only the hands, but I want persons to pitch in a little. Last time when we had class via WhatsApp, we were talking about resistance in series and parallel circuits. How many persons in this group were present and understood?
Sir, I was there.
Monty.
And you understand?
Yes, sir. I think this is what we did before. Yeah.
No, we didn't touch this part really. We didn't talk about this part that we're talking about now. I know we did the resistor part in terms of parallel and series, but I didn't talk in depth in regards to what is happening within inside of our metal, you know.
Wait, sir, that is not.
Just wait. I mean, I'm looking through it to see if it applies to you guys.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it does. It applies to you guys, meaning now that, you know, there are other factors that can affect resistance, right? What also can affect resistance is the length and the cross-sectional area of the conductor, or the piece of wire, right? Now, if I increase my length of my conductor, What do I expect to happen to my resistor?
No idea. Sir, if you increase what?
If I increase the length of the wire, so here I have a piece of wire, right?
Yes, sir.
Let me erase that quickly. So this was the original length, which is L. Good. Now I increase it by an increment of 3. So this is now 3L, right? What do you think is going to happen to the resistance of this wire?
Nope, I have no idea.
Yes.
Now we expect that the resistance is going to increase.
I didn't know any man, but you never want to talk.
No, you never want to talk money. You need to talk. I know you need to talk. I was circling the screen a while ago. Hey, I was going to permission of a circle the screen. Oh boy. Yeah, so we expect that is going to increase the resistance. Let me see. Let me go back and see what I have in terms of the notes, because I don't remember fully what. I'm gonna mark up my screen, you know. So if the length of a piece of wire is 2 meters, what would you expect? Okay. All right, guys. So typically, if I increase the length of the wire, right?
The resistance will decrease.
No, the resistance is not going to decrease. The resistance is going to increase because you have more length to cover. You have a longer distance to travel with the electrons. If you saw me, I say. So at the initial point of the we'll go back here. So at the initial point, you know, you're gonna have some that is going to decrease, and some is going to be able to can move all the way to this end. Now, when I increase the length, now I'm gonna have more collisions taking place inside of this. So at some point, you know, maybe it will even stop the flow of the charge because of so much collisions that are taking place inside of this thing, right? So that's kind of like the explanation to what happens when you increase length. By increasing the length, I have more molecules inside of the thing. And take, for example, I am not varying my voltage. So my voltage is constant. By it being constant, no, I have a limited amount of electrons to work with. And those electrons have a longer way to travel. So by having a longer way to travel, it's gonna have more collisions, which means you're gonna have more slowing down of the movement of the electrons. So that covers that. Now, I want them to make a quick note in